Good evening, folks, and welcome once again to Tinker, Tailor, Solder, Fry, the Let's Try program here on the mighty Loading Ready Run Video Entertainment Network. What do you mean by Let's Try? Well, it means that we're going to try some stuff that I've never done before, and it could be a success, it could be a grand failure, and quite frankly, it is guaranteed to be a good time. But before we go any further, I want to remind you that everything that we do here on the channel is brought to you, of course, by you yourself. Thanks to your support over at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. Patreon.com, it's where we like to send you when you like to reoccurringly patronize us with your fine American and other world currencies. Of course, you can go to store.loadingreadyrun.com if you want to pick up a little something for yourself. Twitch.tv/loadingreadyrun if you want to hit us up while we're streaming, and youtube.com/loadingreadyrun, and our panoply of YouTube channels if you want to engage with Google's method of monetization. We're here for you. Tonight, we got something special for you here at all. A while back, a few months, our good friend Matt Griffiths here at the office came to me and said, "Hey Ian, would you like to play with a Sega CD?" And I said, "That sounds like fun. Do I have to give it back in a working condition?" And the answer, thankfully, was no. But I'm still excited to actually get a hand on some of this classic hardware. You know, we do use a Sega CD once a year or so for a certain live streaming fundraising event, a Desert Bus for Hope, but that's for later. But I've never actually touched. I was a Nintendo kid, and frankly only a Nintendo NES kid, so I have no experience with this particular lineage of hardware. But yeah, this is apparently Matt's partner's childhood Sega CD, and it no longer does the Sega CD thing. So we're going to follow some good amount of troubleshooting to see if we can find out where the problem is. And because I didn't want to buy a bunch of unnecessary parts that I didn't know if I'd need or not, we'll fix later, maybe. In the meantime, but before we get to that, not even in the meantime, just before we get to that, let's give you an update about one of our previous other projects, and that was the BC250 game console from Mining Rig. And here it is. In its brand new case. This will eventually go on the front here. I still need to trim down the power button and actually cut a hole or print a new grill for the front to make it work. But as you can see, it's nicely contained inside of a delicious 3D printed case.
It is a very stylish case. Yeah,
I'm really pleased with this. I'm really pleased with the color combinations of your brown and your Noctua beige and brown. We've got. Since you've seen me, I've done a lot more work on this, not just in terms of the case. The case was 3D printed by myself after finally figuring out how to make a 3D print, how to make the 3D printer I've had work. The answer was to lay down masking tape on the bed, the cheapest and easiest, and what I thought most useless method of causing bed adhesion. Turns out I was wrong for 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and once I did that, the print started going first time, every time. And it was going quite well until I got to about here. You can see this is a two-piece case with two end pieces and these two little well, I'll show that when we get back from the top. But you can see there's a little seam right there. It's not very easily visible, and you certainly wouldn't notice it in a home theater situation. But that's because when I was fixing my 3D printer, because its motherboard exploded, I entered some numbers that seemed to be correct in terms of the build height. Here we go. There's the actual thing inside. You can see we had to print out this thing, and it's suspended by these two, one on this side and one on the other side.
Oh, nice.
Areas. And then you've got two fans just firing air directly into it.
I mean, I was remarking to Ian that if you saw the previous Tinker Tailor where Ian was showing this thing off, it was quite a bit louder, I seem to recall. It was had a serious sort of wind tunnel effect going on.
And that's because we've now instituted a bunch of ramping fan systems to go along with the overclocking of the video card. It came stock at, I think, 3,000 megahertz. It will now go up to 35, 38 if I want to push it.
Wow, that is a big overclock.
It's capable of quite a bit, and the CPU similarly, and they've got varying levels of fast and slow.
Now, as we said that, it did just restart or something.
Yes, I did trigger a restart because to get this thing to boot reliably requires a bit of a dance, and I'm about to see if it will boot on me here, and I think it might. I think I saw the right kind of flash. We'll find out in a second. If the monitor says no sync, then we're good to go. For some reason, in order to get it to boot properly, what I need to do is load up a live ISO of when I'm running CatchyOS on here now, and then let that load, and then reboot into the SteamOS, which it then does fairly reliably. I think it's just coming up right now. There we go.
Wow.
And the reason I can get it to overclock to those high levels is I had to do a little bit more hardware hacking that I didn't have time to get done on the last episode of Tinker Tailor. And what that involved doing is, so these DC250s are meant to be run in rack configuration with a blower fan at one end that just blows air right through. It's a heatsink assembly which is capped off on the top, so it's sort of a captive heatsink.
So it's sort of heat tunnels as opposed to fins.
Kind of like that. But to run it in this configuration where you're blowing air at the heatsink fins, you need to open that up, which means you can kind of see there how they're meant. You meant to get fans that kind of just shove air right through directly out the back end, of course, over top of the SSD, which is good for it, but we won't litigate that particular issue. But in order to open up those fan fins, I had to do some rather nerve-wracking surgery. It took me about an hour to get it all done, and if you'd like to see what I had to do roughly 50 times, Paul, could you play 212? People know exactly what I'm going through here. Lift it up. Peel it just a bit.
So that's aluminum that you're...
It's aluminum. And then you can take your needle nose pliers, and if you pull at the right angle, and only the right angle, you can start peeling those various pieces of fan cover off. Oh. And it is one of the most satisfying and, as I said, nerve-wracking experiences I have had. Just doing that.
Is there anything that you can do with those... strips of aluminum?
What I could do with them is keep them in a little cup and not let them fly around everywhere because they are sharp as hell, and I would not want anyone wandering around my house in bare feet to end up stepping on one of those. Probably the most I could do with them is melt them down. I don't think. Maybe I should just put them inside of some aluminum cans that are going back for meltdown, but.
Be good, like it looked like be good like twist ties or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, this is now just running and booting directly into games or into the SteamOS and into games, and so we can just launch the game here. But what I can also do, which is nice, so network check failed. That's fine. Just continue on here.
Well, you can also bring up. Don't have to worry about people breaking into your game anyway.
Yeah, you can bring up the Steam overlay. And where is... There we go. And you can then bring up your overlay information.
60, 50, between 50 and 60 FPS?
Yeah, which is not bad. Could be a bit better, but, load times and whatnot. But it's currently... I need to do some tweaking because, as you can see, the GPU is only getting hammered for 70% of what it's worth.
Right. Like, neither your GPU nor your CPU are pegged right now, so...
And it still seems to be doing okay.
Very nice.
But yeah, very happy to have what amounts to a little console. There's still some things that need to be tweaked out. There's issues with the Bluetooth works, but for some reason I didn't unpair correctly, so I need to put that back. It's now running CatchyOS, which is oof. The latency of maybe going through OBS to watch this on the screen that I'm previewing on is probably not the best.
It's not helping for the yeah.
But did want to give you guys a view of how far this has come and how well it's mostly working. As you can see, there were some other games there on the... I can't switch to desktop because there is no desktop at the moment. It goes just straight to the console. But yeah.
Did you see? I saw a story, I guess yesterday or just recently that Valve was working on doing a thing to make games run better on systems with low amounts of VRAM.
Yeah, I was seeing that. That's extremely cool. So that combined with the upcoming new release of Wine, which is showing significant performance increases. I think they were going from, 128 frames per second in Counter-Strike to 482 roughly.
Holy doodle.
So yeah, the new Wine is going to be real good for emulation, and that means it's going to be good for Steam machines or
Does Steam? I thought Steam used a different, not Wine.
So Proton is based, from what I understand, based on Wine or based alongside Wine.
Oh, okay, so they have a shared code base to a certain extent.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, and of course, Proton is focused on gaming rather than general emulation. But it has to do with the scheduler being previously one of the schedulers that Wine used was a centralized server model. So programs had to connect to the Wine scheduler. The Wine scheduler would then connect to the kernel. The kernel would then send information back to the scheduler and then back to the program. And now it's the emulating programs can talk directly to the kernel, bypassing that round trip, which is evidenced by the frame rate increases. Real good.
Nice.
Yeah, but that's modern gaming. That's I mean, I can emulate all the Sega CD games I want on there. But what if I wanted to do it with actual Sega hardware? Well, one would need to procure a Sega CD. But unfortunately, that's not all. As I found out starting my journey here, in order to even get this thing to do anything, you need a Sega Genesis.
Yep.
And then you can begin testing things. And that's what we're going to do. There's some great resources out there for people who want to do troubleshooting on their own boards if they feel brave enough. Again, if something's broken, you can try to fix it. You can't make it. You can make it more broken, but that generally takes extra work. So. And
yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, you get to sort of see what interesting stuff is inside.
And it's not like I have a track record with Sega disc-based consoles and anything like that. It's,
exactly.
Yeah, we'll just work on this for another 3 years as we go on. No, but yeah, if you guys, if you folks at home want to hop on over to retrotechcollection.com, they've got some guides there for troubleshooting and for maintenance for the Sega CD that I'm going to be following along, because they give you good information about common problems, common symptoms, and the what do you call them? Remedies thereof. We'll also be possibly dipping our toes into the Sega CD service manuals and schematics directly from Sega. Those you can check out over at the Internet Archive, or of course, if you're watching live, they'll be in the chat. And if you're watching on YouTube, check out the doobly-doo. It's all there. Don't worry about it. So let's dive in. I mean, I would say before you do anything else, you have to take it apart, but you don't, because we're going to, first of all, see at what point it's no longer working. So let's start by, I guess,
does the Sega Genesis work?
That's a good point. I mean, before we even get there, that'll be step 2. Before we even get to the Genesis, we're going to check the AC adapters, and we've got 2 of them. We've got the very heavy original Sega, and that's put that in a sock, and that's going to be a nasty party. And then you've got this fascinating double plug number, which I assume is here to power both the CD and the Genesis simultaneously. Very different size plugs on these things, as you can see.
Does the do the sizes of the plugs line up with what the two things need?
Well, have a look. I would assume so, given that they were provided by the owner. Yep, okay, that one does go into the Sega CD fine, so that's a small plug. And then the large plug, which is kind of a reverse barrel, I would think goes into the Genesis, but that does not. So this is not used for both of them. I think you actually use, both the Genesis and the CD use the same port plug.
So maybe that plug was just a handy one that happened to have a one right tail on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that for people at home, that AC adapter, that is the lightest. Even in modern day, that is I find it hard to believe that there is more than just plastic shell.
Let me give a really good demonstration, Paul, if you could go to the top down here. If I can blow the AC adapter, that's pretty darn light.
Yeah, it's actually just full of helium
to
offset the weight.
All right, let's get this thing plugged in and see what it actually puts out, and then we'll do the same with the other adapter, and check those.
Or yes, as folks in the chat have informed me, I did not realize that there were actually two Genesises.
Yes.
There is apparently a smaller model, a bigger model, and a smaller model. This would be the bigger one that you have.
Well, this is the original design and the bigger model. It has this cool analog slider for your audio too. All right, so black end goes in the middle. Touch the barrel. So it's getting a solid 9.56 volts, hovering in between those two. So I'd say we're pretty good there. Let's have a look at the other one.
Now, folks were asking if there's a model number on the dual tail power adapter.
Everything that is written on it is written on the label. AC adapter, input AC 110, 240, 60 volts. Output DC 9 volt, 850 amps. Outer ring positive, inner ring negative. Some characters that say CE, which I do not believe to actually be a certification of any sort, and potentially another misapplied certification mark, made in China.
But no other.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. You know what? Paul, we're going to open this thing up because the screws are exposed. But indoor use only is the only other thing written on there. I'm just, because now I'm curious as to what's inside the box. But let's just test this other power adapter here and make sure it's giving us the business. Interesting.
13. Wait, it went away.
Yeah,
yeah, because that one was 9 something. This one 13.
13. So that's more volts than you need.
And the other power, like that one is something like 1.3 milliamp or 1.3 amps.
Yeah, the big one's 1.3 amps. The little one is 850 millis.
Yeah.
So here we go. I don't think this is the issue, but there's a potential that overvolt could be a problem because what the troubleshooting says, test adapter 9 to 10 volts output. So that's good. But, a little bit of overvolting isn't again, too much of a problem. It's mainly a heat issue, but I think the Genesis can take it. Where did I put my screwdrivers? There they are. Right next to me. Womp, 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 womp. And remove my glasses because this new prescription is no good for up close. I'll choose something relatively chunky. All right, let's get in there. too strong for the motor. And just enough. Right. The things I do for chat.
What I like about it is, you were saying, as we noticed it being so light, but clearly they wanted it to be the same size as the previous one. Like,
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
you would think that if there's so little inside it, they could have made it really small. But it's like, this is the size that the AC adapter is supposed to be.
We can fool some children. Okay, let's...
Oh, well, there's a lot of stuff in there.
Well, there is an transformer.
Like what is the weight that is in a regular AC adapter?
It's usually in this, in your transformer coil. As that's where you want the beef to be, because that's what's doing all of the heavy and hot lifting.
Right.
You want a good solid core and some good weighty wrapped wires. And I don't know that's necessarily it. Also, loving the jumping around here between different planes. I'm just looking for my phone because there's a chip in here I want to magnify and see if it is what I think it is. It's macro. Oh, come on. Okay, that is not what I thought it was. But that is a Reactor Micro RM604 4030 DQH. I thought that was going to be a 555 timer in there, because you can do some really ridiculous things with those.
Can you just sort of tilt it towards it? This camera's got a nice close shot. Ooh. Yeah, I guess it's probably just like, but yeah, the simplest possible version.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. So the more that I look at this, the more this doesn't scare me, but it upsets me. Like these tiny wires here, those are your leads directly to the pins on the back. This is not a robust device, but it provides the appropriate power. So, and we do need two of them. So I guess we're using it. But I will put the. Well, you know what? Maybe I'll put the over. Well, we can try swapping them around and see if that makes a difference too.
So I wonder what the other lead on this one was for, because it's sort of a weirdly, it's a barrel connector that I have not really seen before.
Yeah.
Maybe it's to give you your choice of what you can plug it into.
That was maybe a choice of what you could plug it into, since a ghost voice in the room, and that might be. That might be the case. My first thought was that it might be like a dual console thing where you have one would go to an original Sega. Maybe it's for a different power plug. Maybe like perhaps the different models of the Genesis use different plugs on them.
Yeah, I had a Frankenstein, not Frankenstein cable, but like a very weird cable that had the like connector and then N64, PlayStation, and
yeah, they definitely make those for graphics.
Nintendo, yeah, like a whole bunch of weird proprietary power plugs on one side.
Oh, hold on. There's another one. We might not have to use this this freaky one at all.
But there is another.
Let's set that aside, and let's. We are running out of room on this power bar.
Ah, okay.
Oh wait, I think I can make this work.
Draconite Dev says the different Genesis models have different power. So the saying the bigger plug, the bigger barrel jack might have been for the Gen 3 Genesis, the smaller
That
Genesis.
makes sense. Okay, so this one also giving us 13 volts. Now, there is the possibility that I just have a really, a very badly calibrated multimeter, but I don't think so because I've been able to get good enough results in other situations with this thing, with the accurate information. I guess we'll see as we go along because the voltage regulation happens inside the console. For now, let's keep moving and let's make sure that this is a Genesis with the power to do what Nintendo don't.
My impression, I knew that it was that the amperage was the important number on when you're using a DC thing, that if the amperage was too high, you could blow stuff out. But the voltage being too high wouldn't be a problem. It would just draw less.
Yeah, I
Is
mean,
that usually? Am I correct?
yeah, correct, partially. Like once you get to once you get to a certain over voltaging, then all bets are off.
Right.
But yeah, it's the what is it? The pressure versus the width of the pipe. I'm never sure how the metaphor works either. But, let's see here, video and audio, both represented. Let's make sure we're on the right input. Nope. Input.
Oh, it's the other way around. Okay.
Yeah.
Voltage needs to be in the range, but the amp needs to just be equal or greater. Okay.
Well, you got to be careful with that because the amperage can you can under amp things.
Right,
I
that's
think
true.
it's-
Under amping can be a problem.
Yeah, it's mostly when you're dealing with light bulbs or analog devices where that also can be an issue. Like you can very quickly just pop an entire set of bulbs if you overamp too hard.
So you're using composite?
Yes, turns out I did not have the RF wasn't what we were using, so we're just going to go composite. I don't know. Sonic Blast, anyone?
Well, it is his 30th anniversary, so we might as well celebrate.
It's true.
Hey.
Well, there we go.
Looking good. The volume on the TV is turned down, but
I'm pretty sure. Actually, I should turn that back up because that might be relevant.
ooh, Traveler's Tales, right? Oh yeah.
Nope, that's the wrong one.
There's actually I watched there's the one of the head developers at Traveler's Tales who made this made a really interesting video about how they did that intro, how they fit that like full motion video onto a Sega cart.
Oh wow!
And like all the just intense compression that they did on it. It's like, it's actually only rendering half the frame or half the vertical, and then it's manually doubling it.
That is fascinating.
And then it's doing like scan lines and doing all this kind of stuff.
Okay. Wow. You could remap game remap back in the day. And yes, we have sound, so I don't think we need to worry about the test there. Okay, that's good. Genesis working fine. Let's add the complication of another console then. Now, is the correct adapt? Yeah, okay, good. There are little metal feet that are used to help guide the console into the right position. And I believe it is in the correct position now. Let's give the Sega CD some power. And then when it doesn't work, that's time for us to start undoing some screws. Ah, there we go. Okay, so I guess everything gets turned on at the same time. Is that how it works? Okay, that's good. Bloop. Shoot the side, and then launch with. And then the power goes. Okay.
Hey, I remember that.
Yeah. Push the start button. Well, what happens if I do? No disk. Okay, so this was going to be our first try here. I've got.
So it does boot up.
Yeah, I've collected some discs here.
Did we know where it failed before?
No, perhaps if Goat Prince in the chat can let us know, that might help things out a bit. But I guess let's start with the easiest thing. Start with what we know. Let's try playing Penn and Teller's Smoke and Mirrors off of a burned CD.
I sometimes forget that like Sega CD intro bit is a Sega CD thing and not part of
Not part of
Penn
Smoke and
Teller's
Mirrors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Matt says it didn't even want to turn on before.
Oh,
So maybe the problem was that power blur.
maybe. That would make for a rather unfortunately short episode, but.
I can hear it.
It can't be this easy.
Oh. Oh. I remember this was always a moment of tension. It was like, what's happening? Is it working? Here we go.
Absolute entertainment. TM. All right. Well, if I can launch Desert Bus on this, then we may just be done with the repair portion. It would be worth going through, maybe cracking open the system though, blowing out some of the dust, and just maybe doing checking a couple of the voltage points.
We can look at that maintenance guide.
Yeah. Be a good idea. Yeah, and this is a burn CD, so all right.
Sega CD was made in a time where people were like, nobody can make a CD at home.
Who could do that?
The process to make a CD is thousands and thousands of dollars worth of equipment.
So in my research doing this too, there is a Sega Sega CD test CD that apparently you really have to use the pressed version of it to get it to work.
Oh, really?
But that also requires a what do you call it? Hold on, a test jig, a little that's got a chip in it and it's got a connector that connects directly to the board. And you push the test button, and then one of 26 characters shows up in a single LED 8-segment display, and that'll tell you what's wrong with that particular unit.
I know there's that. I don't know. I don't think the Sega. I know that there was some systems that had really interesting copy protection that was like a special line,
Right.
a special track that couldn't be written to, like it was outside the normal writing area of a CD burner.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't that the trick that they used for our PlayStation games?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, we'll play burned audio CDs as well. It looks like. I'm keeping it from you at home because you don't need it, but I am currently enjoying 64K's The Loading Ready Wrap.
Oh yeah.
Season 2.
Season 2.
Okay, that works. Now I'm just, getting funny here. Gonna let that spin down. We might actually be able to fix a couple things in there too. But okay, good to know that this works. Let's try something weirder. What happens? I mean, all Sega consoles are the same, right? They're forwards compatible with each other. Let's try some Guilty Gear X for the Dreamcast. Because I know those have a Red Book audio section to them. Give it a bit more audio. On. Oh.
It's in space.
Oh, okay. It's confused. Ah!
Oh. Track 1. Now, track 1 might be the actual, like, you might have to go to a different track.
It might be. I can't remember with...
これはドリームキャスト用のディスクです。1トラック目にデータが入っていますので、再生しないでください。
What I especially loved about those is that on certain games, they would get the voice cast from the game to record the warning. So I know at least on, I think it's Sakura Wars that happens. But
There's an amazing clip from, I forget what the game is now, but if you pulled the audio off the CD without playing the game, the boss of the game, there was a secret audio track that the boss of the game would be like, "Hey, you. Yeah, you. I see what you're doing. Oh. Trying to listen to the audio without legitimately finishing the game."
it was so much fun
You're
when they would add
cheating.
these Easter eggs in.
And then he goes like, he's the bad guy. He's like, he's cheating. It's like, you're cheating. Cheating is good.
Love that.
I like that.
Well, can you jump onto the close-up camera here? Because one of the nice things about the Sega CD is that it's a top loader, which means you can load fun things like this Guilty Gear X
Oh no.
shaped audio CD. Let's give this thing a good workout.
You know, it occurs to me that spinning something that is not symmetrical at 75 or 7,200 RPM is probably not a great idea.
CD speed, generally fine, and I like to hope that they put some idea of putting balance into these things, but at least it's not the, oh yeah, there we go, one track. At least it's not, 50 times playback, utterly just exploding inside. All right.
I think on Mythbusters or something, they put a CD onto like a drill or something, and to test what the upper limit of
Non-shattering was.
yeah.
15,000 RPM. I think is what they read.
15,000 RPM, says
Yeah.
the voice in the room. That's a lot. Okay, well, we've tried a bunch of silly stuff. Let's do the needful, and let's try with an actual Sega CD game.
And
Vase.
one of the cool things with the Sega CD, you'll notice at the back, we never use this for Desert Bus, but at the back of the Sega CD, there are separate RCA output.
Yes.
So you could actually, the idea was that, because you could have really high quality sound coming out, and it would actually, it could actually send that out separately, bypassing the Sega itself, and have full CD audio.
You get CD stereo audio, which
Yeah.
big deal back in the 90s.
Cause the Sega CD it's funny because it was all running through the Sega, and so it didn't actually have that much more processor power. It just had a lot of space, which is why you get one of the main things they could figure out to do with it was like weirdly compressed full motion video.
Which is why you get a lot of games that came from the Laserdisc era of games.
Right.
That got translated. That's where Night Trap actually comes from. It wasn't produced for the CD. It was produced for other markets.
Magical pop full male fantasy adventure.
Ooh, video.
Ooh.
All 4 nations worked in harmony until Knuckles showed up.
The carvings upon the gray stone wall at Shikra tell of a time beyond memory.
Yeah, so that kind of this kind of audio would not be possible on a Sega cartridge without huge amounts of memory or terrible compression.
Lord of beasts, who sent savage armies.
Update from Matt. He says, Michael is pleased to see the machine is operable.
I'm
yay.
super glad to be able to reveal that as well. I did
Now.
nothing. Well, I did shove some pointy bits into some very small holes, so this is not what I would have expected from the opening.
We'll see what happens, see if it is still operational by the end of tonight's stream.
Yeah. But I think that's a good place to leave that particular game there. Might as well get into the machine itself. Check some test points. Check the grease too. I want to see how it's looking. And then I guess button it all back up.
Check the grease.
Yeah. Okay, let's disconnect the boys from each other. I'll just set that up there and put that game back in its holder. Oh, sure. When I've heard what some of these games are worth, I do want to make sure I'm treating them properly. Okay. Let's get into it. So we'll probably have to remove a bunch of screws. Just checking the holes to see if some of them are just decoy, and they are.
If you put the screwdriver in there, you get electric shocker. Like it's to deter tomb raiders.
We said no user serviceable parts, and we meant it.
It's.
But this is one of those places where going back to the official service manual gives good information on how to disassemble Johnny 5. There are only six screws.
This reminds me of. I remember we were looking at a story. Oh, this is might have been a year ago, for Checkpoint, where that the timing chip in old Nintendos. It turns out that the timing chip in old Nintendos is wearing out.
Yes.
Making them run at different speeds.
I've seen this.
And so, and of course, speed running like Mario is such a big deal that certain by doing a bunch of testing, they're like, certain, the boot up sequence and predetermined things can be off by milliseconds.
Well, it's also potentially adding extra glitches to these games. Mm-hmm. So I find that fascinating. All right, let's undo some screws here. Come on. Oh, maybe I just... Yep, I need to charge my screwdriver. Yeah, that's an old one. So the display, the OLED display on it no longer works, and they still runs a micro USB. Maybe it's time for a new indulgent screwdriver.
I was gonna say, don't feel bad. The display on my screwdriver doesn't work either. There's also because there's no display.
I never.
Escalator temporarily stairs thing.
Yeah, kind of like that. But the situation right now is that won't fit. This one won't fit to the screw because big, thick body. So we got to use the little one.
Oh, I see. It's the screws are too inset.
Yeah, very deep. Go. And the bottom ones. It's an interesting screw point here too on the bottom that I'm not sure what that would have been used to attach to, but.
I think more electronic devices should have a sticker on the bottom that says, "If you need help." All this. It's like, and, you know, to be clear, this is not Sega help. This is just like in general.
Hey,
This is just life advice.
Got a couch I need to get rid of. Can you come on by? Oh, certainly. Or I guess however Tails sounds these days. All right. Let us now. So that should allow us to separate the top and bottom cases.
Ooh.
And there we go.
Wow, the top is just a. Oh, I see.
Yep.
I expected there to be more electronics on the.
On the top side?
On the side that was like under the Sega.
Yeah.
Yeah, I expected there to be more actual stuff there.
Yeah, no, there's literally just this pass through hole for the slot.
It's probably all the same stuff that was in the version 1 that fit underneath the Genesis.
Oh, you would think that, voice in the room, suggesting that everything is just the same from the previous version, but the motherboards are significantly different from what I've seen. Like, there are at least 3 different revisions of the Sega CD motherboard.
Michael is impressed by how clean it is.
I am too. There's only a little bit of dust on that side, and it's gone now. Good enough. Now it's over here. What am I doing? But yeah, I mean, honestly, let's have a look here at the gearing section, which is one of the number one problems to these systems, is that these teeth wear out and die because they're just nylon gears. But these ones all look to be in pristine condition. The lithium grease is still on the track there to run the laser head tracking head back and forth. So I think that's, yeah, I wouldn't want to mess with that too much at all. But as you can see, it's on it's on rubber feet. So there's a little bit of shock protection in this system, but almost nothing. Fascinating. All right.
I remember, at least on like PlayStation or whatever, there was weird things that could happen, like the system would get bumped and the CD would lose the CD, but the game would keep playing. It just couldn't load any more stuff. So you'd be like walking. Your character would like be walking around and just no more level would load.
I'd never run into that. That's hilarious.
And so it would just be nothing.
Yeah,
You walk off into the void.
Even the laser lens is pristine in terms of there's no dust on it, so there's no. I could touch it with the Kim wipe, but that potentially would add more dust than not. So that's no good. What I'm going to do here, I think I'm going to put this aside for just a second, and I'm curious to see if I can very quickly fix my biggest problem with this one, which is the fact that the door just pops up with no regard to.
The latch on the door is not.
Well, so there's a spring that springs it up, and then there's this gearing system which connects to what they call an oil damper. And just judging from the grease around the area, I think the oil damper itself may have found its own leak. So let's have a look here. Oh yeah, so it is engaging with the oil damper, but
there's supposed to be something there to make the popping up a little less violent.
I have a feeling that there's supposed to be oil inside the oil damper that causes that little gear right here to resist against something. But yeah, that's not thankfully, but that's unfortunately something I can't fix myself. However, if you could track down one of these oil dampers outside of as a part, that would be very easy to swap in because it's literally just two screws there.
Is that a dip switch diagram? That little grid that's molded into the stuff right over there?
Here? No, that is going to be a manufacturing code, I believe, for date of manufacture.
Oh, okay.
Or at least batch of manufacture. I'm guessing here that you've got 93, 94, 95, 96, 97. Those would probably be the years that they were assuming they'd be producing this.
Oh, so the idea is they would mold that whole thing and then just mark the bit that they're used.
Yeah, exactly. Because this grid is definitely part of the molding here, and then these are after molding, kind of just marks, I guess, in the plastic. So we're looking at 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And there's usually a code that goes along with these. I remember when we were doing one of our model builds a while back, we gave the explanation of how they do that on the sprues for Bandai models. They've got a little rotatable pointer that they can push. Whenever they do a reprint, they'll turn the arrow to point to another number on the circle.
Right. In order to minimize the amount of change to the actual thing.
Yeah, and still being able to let people know that when something was manufactured or what batch it was, because that's how you make your products better. Is you find the flaw, find out how to replicate the flaw, and then you understand what the flaw actually is, and then you can fix it. But I think what we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to give it some more power. We're going to check a couple of the test points just to make sure that everything's getting the power that it needs, and then we'll button it back up, I guess. But at this point, I'm going to say that we've been at it for about an hour, which is a good time for us to take a short break. So I'm going to ask you all to get up, swap your legs, donate your fluids, and we'll be back with more Tinker Tailor Solder Fry and more Sega CD in just a few minutes. Don't go all the way away. Welcome back to Tinker Tailor Solder Fry, where we are, I guess, just confirming, we're doing a routine checkup on a Sega CD. I mean, it's, oh no.
Look, when you get to a certain age, it's good to just get a routine physical.
I'm just beginning to think of how old, I mean, well, we know how old this one is. We can check the production date. It's 1993. That would be, what, 20, 30, 39? 33. I'm not good at doing math on the fly, but definitely in its 30s. Yeah, should be scheduling that visit with prostate Dracula. So, this is good that it boots, because the problems that are I did a good amount of research today thinking about what I might have to do to get this back up and running. Things that could go wrong with this, a clean or unclean edge connector. Well, I mean, everything's nice and clean here, so we don't need to worry about that. Check BIOS ROM and test with another console. Well, I could replace the BIOS if I needed to. Edge connectors being another issue. Memory and ROM faults potentially. There are suggestions that you can get in there and adjust. There's 3 little pots that potentiometers that you can adjust for laser voltage, laser alignment, and tracking gain. And I've seen some threads where people have decided that they're going to just, twiddle with those until they get it working. But no, thank you very much.
I feel like laser voltage could go very wrong.
Oh, yeah, very much so. But it's the tracking and gain that are apparently the ones that are real bees to troubleshoot. Because those can, you can burn out your laser pretty easily if you're overvolting it. Yeah, trying to get the tracking working is. I did actually read through the adjustment for that in the official manual on archive.org, and it is fascinating, the process. We would need a double input oscilloscope in order to do it properly, and the theory behind it is quite fascinating, actually. To get things, there's examples of the waveforms you should be seeing and which direction to adjust what to bring it back into alignment. But
is this again using, you have like a tester disc that you put in that will sort of give a consistent reading, and then you can adjust things?
Exactly. But I recommend if you like electronics, flipping through this anyway, just because you get full block diagrams of the layout of the circuitry. You get a circuit board diagram with trace information in it. You get breakdowns of every chip on the board and what all of the inputs do with them. It's really just a lot of interesting information. And then, of course, near the back, you get not sure if you can see on the monitor here, but you get an exploded diagram of the actual system itself, which I always love those. I think they're good art in addition to just being cool.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've got a bunch of them as sort of art pieces.
Yeah, that's right. Although I guess those are more just kind of exterior schematic diagrams, but
yeah.
Yeah, wish I could fix this oil. You know what? Actually, what I am going to do is I'm going to clean some of the oil that's hanging off of it away, so that the oil doesn't spread about inside of the console.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, we can't. If we can't fix anything, we can at least make sure the problems do not spread. I'm just going to give that a quick wipe with the, oh yeah. That's some good yellow booger right there.
It's I hear 1993 was a good year for oil.
I mean, I suppose we could probably crack. No, we're not going to crack this open and inject new random fluids inside. But at least that's clean now. I mean, it's shiny. It'll be fine. Wouldn't it be amazing if by accident that fixed it, but it did not. Okay, let's set that aside and let's start looking at the thing here. So, step 2 was top case removal. Step 3 was door removal. We don't need to do that. Step 4, disassembly of the chuck disk assembly. We don't need to mess with the chuck system. That's working fine. CD unit removal, circuit board assembly removal. So there are screws. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's start with those and just see what we get underneath.
It's nice, no torques or weird fancy screws.
Yep. I had to rely on the simple security method of fear of the unknown. Ooh, that's a ground point. I'll have to remember to get that back in the right place so we put it back.
I mean, it's fear of the unknown, and also like lack of need. Like most of the reasons why you would want to take it apart weren't really like putting in whatever, some sort of getting rid of like a region lock, or getting rid of being able to like play whatever pirated games or something.
Right.
Wasn't really a consideration
At that particular time frame. Okay, something's It's hanging up on something, and I think I see what it is here. So let's use a flathead as a bit of a spudger. These fins on the shield are kind of getting hung up on the slot here.
Is that just an EM shield?
I believe that's the case, yeah. I don't think there's anything particularly special about it other than it's just here too.
I guess you don't want your Sega CD to be messing with the Genesis that's sitting right on top of it.
Yeah. Well, and there's a certain amount of EM, shielding you need to have in everything just to get the FCC off your back. Oh, that one's in there nice and tight, isn't it? Let's bend that back a bit. There we go. Lift and separate. And that's where all the fun is. Okay. Oh my goodness. Wow. This is a motherboard that has had some bodge fixes applied to it after the fact.
Oh, interesting.
Like this is which is normal. This normal. Back in the day, you used to be able to fix your boards after the fact by, I guess, adding.
Is that some sort of mod chip or something?
I don't think so. It's glued in a way that tells me that this is original equipment, but you can see bits of glue, dripping down onto some of the. I think this is a RAM chip from Toshiba here.
Now, was region locking a thing for the Sega CD?
I'm going to say yes, provisionally, and this is based only off of having watched a couple of videos today on Sega CD troubleshooting and replacement, and one of the person I was watching had a big old ROM chip with a label on top of it that said US region free.
Okay.
Which leads me to believe that would mean that there are non-free, other non-US ROMs available.
Right. So yeah, I could see how that would be a thing.
Mm-hmm. And that chip, by the way, is this one right here that's underneath the slot. I'm not sure if we can flip that around. You can see there. Yeah, just hiding out here. It's the one with the big old Sega on it. And okay. Here we go.
It's the forest of capacitors.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to actually get the shield off there and have a look. Because one of the things that can be a big problem with a lot of old electronics is capacitors get old and they tend to explode. And when they explode, not only does your machine stop working, but it can make other parts that were good also stop working on their own.
Is that a clock battery?
That is.
Corner?
This is one of the other things that can also go wrong. Is a little CR32 or 2032.
Just a sort of standard.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you can either put in another standard one, or you can put in a proper rechargeable version of it. But that is one of the failure points that can occur in a Sega CD. Here we go. These are our 3 potentiometers here. And I'm not going to touch them at all, but I'm going to let you see here. So 1, 2, and 3. Yes, they're marked too. Okay, so VR01. I believe that is our voltage right here, and then that should be our tracking gain, and then that will be the. What's the third one?
Oh, here we go. So. M Tigris linked to a thing that has the model differences.
Oh!
So there are 6 board revisions of the Model 2 CD, and the earliest Model 2, only found in Japanese Mega CD 2 units, is easily discerned by the small bodge PCB glued directly on top of the PCM chip and associated RAM.
that would be it then. Okay.
And then there is also a North American version that uses a Bodge PCB as well.
That would probably be this one then.
Huh.
I am going to take the time. There's something on this Sega.
Yeah, manufactured
CPU.
by Funari as opposed to Sega.
Oh. But yeah, who is it in the chat there was mentioning that bodges were common in this era? Because they were. You know, this is a lot of money to put together something like this.
Because later revisions actually just integrated the Bodge stuff into the actual board. So I guess the idea was that this was like a late addition to it, that they were like, we don't want to actually redo the entire board, so we'll just add this bit.
Mm. And I find them fascinating. Let's, if you can see in there. There we go. Got to check my focus to make sure that focus is okay.
I mean, I love that, because, I guess it was the same, like I've seen it in the context of Nintendo and Super Nintendo, but I'm assuming it's the same for, at least for the cartridge ones, that for CDs, for the Sega cartridge, that because, it was literally a circuit board inside that cartridge that then connected into the bus of the system, there could be all sorts of stuff on that inside a cartridge that would actually add new obviously for like Super Nintendo you had the Super FX chip
Exactly,
stuff,
yeah.
but
or just bigger, more on. But yeah, the cartridge idea of a console being basically the computer isn't a computer without that piece of it.
Apparently, there was a working prototype of a Super Nintendo inside a Nintendo cart.
I've heard about that, yeah.
And the idea was you could buy a Super Nintendo game, put it into your Nintendo, and it would basically just use the Nintendo as the output device.
Yeah, just bypassing everything else.
And do it. It never actually worked because, of course, you would have to buy a Super Nintendo every game, which is not a very efficient thing. But apparently they had it working.
But I do love that you look at this thing here, this little Bodge board, and it's just the tiniest connections to via holes on the motherboard, or to in this case, a single pin on this chip. And yeah. But yeah, I did want to get in here and have a good look at the capacitors, because those are the things that can fail, and when they do fail, they leak fluid, which will ruin the rest of your board if you don't deal with it. So there are available recapping kits for Sega CDs, Sega Genesis, and other consoles. Following a guy on Mastodon right now who just finished doing his own, what do you call it? Recapping of his classic Macintosh analog board, and had a couple of blown caps in there that just caused huge amounts of damage.
Macintosh analog?
So the analog board on the original Macintosh was what was used to control the monitor. Everything's digital until it gets to the point where you need to start spanning an electron beam back and forth really fast, and that's all analog. But this here is our connection point for our tester, which we cannot use because it will send information that we cannot interpret because we don't have the test board. But I'd say that everything looks good here so far. This is a message for Michael if you're watching still. Might be worth recapping this thing some point in the next 10 years.
It looks a little bit like like trees that have grown in a really windy thing, so that they're all. It's like there was, or there's like some big storm or explosion or something that pushed them all away, all the caps away and from a central location.
Yeah, it's very interesting the way they decided that it's bendy in certain places. I mean, it does make it easier to see if a cap is blown from the bottom, which they can often do, which is you don't want. The other one I really like that you don't see often enough these days are the vertically mounted resistors and diodes. Here, I'm not sure if that's you can see it comes up and then loops around.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so rather than having your diode be or your resistor be flat and then flattening the wires on both sides to go through a hole, what you'll do is you'll send one end butt up against the circuit board, and then the wire comes out, and then we'll loop around to the next through hole solder point.
Would this have been? This would have been hand soldered, I guess, eh?
No, well, not all of it. I mean, I doubt that they would have been doing hand soldering for the surface mount stuff, but I could see them potentially doing hand soldering for the other component, the through hole components.
And for this bodge board.
Yeah, especially for the bodge board. Yeah, that would have absolutely been a someone with sensitive hands.
Now, do we? I don't know. Do you have folks were saying that replacing the battery might be a good idea if we've got one of those 26 whatever batteries around.
I do not, and the reason I wouldn't do it here either is that this is not a normally replaceable battery. This is not actually a CR 2030 or whatever the number is. This is the same sort of thing that you've got in the Dreamcast, which is a rechargeable version. That said, they can fail, and you can either replace it with the proper model, or you can replace it with a standard coin cell. But the reason we can't just yank this out and put a new one in...
I thought it looks like it's like just a battery coin cell connector there, but no, it's not.
It sure does, but if you can see closely, again, let me see about my own focus. Yeah, great. You can probably just see a little couple marks there and there. And that's where it's been spot welded.
Oh, right.
The coin holder is the battery, is the soldered device, and yeah, I would not. Again, wouldn't recommend replacing that until you need to, because it's you got to get out the soldering tools and whatnot. But the caps.
Yeah, I was very frustrated by my home computer, my actual Windows computer at home is a, it's got a micro ATX board, ITX, I don't know, and I thought that the clock battery, the battery might be dead, so I got some batteries and opened it up and realized that it doesn't have a actual battery holder. It had a battery that is sealed in plastic with two little teeny weeny leads that go onto a thing, and so it's theoretically, I guess, you'd have to cut open the heat shrink and replace the thing and get the leads, or you can buy batteries that have those
pre-wired for that.
That are pre-wired for that. Yep. But it was just like, come on, it's so easy to just have a little coin slot.
Oh yeah, but of course not. No. Well, I think as I said, I was thinking about doing a couple test points here, but I believe that in order to power this on, you need to get the Genesis in there, and that would mean trying to balance the Genesis over the motherboard while we power them on. And frankly, while I know we could do it, I am loath to actually go any farther in this assembly on something that I know is currently working.
I mean, we were saying like, oh, here's the maintenance, the maintenance guide for Sega CD. Oh dear, it's been 30 years or whatever. I bet there's going to be some serious stuff. But props to Michael, who appears to have taken very good care of his. Even if he wasn't doing active maintenance on it, at least he was keeping it in a not a super dust-filled environment or something.
As I think the band was built to spill said, keep it in a cool, dry place. I'm pretty sure it was a song that my father loved from the 70s. I'm pretty sure it was about weed, but it was from the 70s. There's no confirmation. Okay, so looking at this, the only other thing I wanted to mention is the barrel jack, and I'm a little sad that we can't have gotten to the easiest point of fixing, which is apparently there's on the other side here. This is our power. On the other side, if we were to take the motherboard out, but in order to do so, I'd need to actually pop off the shielding and connection for the for the connector, and I don't think I want to do that. But there's a fuse on the other side there, which is the most common thing that goes wrong, because people will tend to either overpower the console or more usually use a barrel connected power adapter that is inverted, and that can potentially cause a pop in there. And so what you can do is you can either replace it with another surface mounted fuse, or you can solder in a glass fuse receptacle, and then you can, if you're living in a place with bad power or constant fluctuations, that might be something useful if you keep getting your fuse being popped. But I think, yeah, we're gonna button this back up and finish that. I do have one more project here for y'all today, but I'll talk about that once we get this all closed up, because I have to remember how to do that. Right, we're gonna bend our fins back here so those lock into place when they come back in. What I should have been doing is I should have been wearing some nitrile gloves this whole time too. Hate to leave fingerprints where they aren't necessary. Okay, that's good. Feels like yes, no. It's fine. Something's getting hung up somewhere. Ah, there we are. Good. This is keeping us from getting directly down to the screw points, and I think that's everything now in place, nice and tight without tension, which is what we want. Right, let's button her back up. Of course, if you're like me and you're constantly going back into your console like this, like I was with the Dreamcast specifically, you might want to just leave your RF shielding as something you put back at the very end. But I'm happy to see how relatively easy it is to get inside this thing. Okay, there's one there. Yeah, still don't know what this little brass screw is here for. A little standoff.
Have to make sure to put that screw back in the right place. Or which was you said one of the screws was a grounding thing?
Yes, that was this one up here. It's got, you can see the grounding strap which goes along and connects up to actually the just the housing here. So it's just a deep, deep grounding. Trying to find the catch point here on this screw. Whenever I am putting things back together with self-tapping plastic screws especially, I like to... I'm only saying this because who knows what particular habits you've got yourself, but I like sharing things that you might not have thought of. I like to rotate the screw counterclockwise, so in the out direction, until I feel that kind of drop, telling me that that's where the initial screw cut holes are, the threads are, and then you're not potentially ruining your plastic every time you put these things back together.
Oh, there's nothing worse than trying to figure out, trying to get those like super fine pitch screws, trying to not cross thread them.
Oh yeah. And especially with plastic, because once you have done cross-threaded it, you're done. There's no going back unless you want to pour, I don't know, wood glue into the hole. Would not recommend.
Now, I was going to say, now before you buttoned up, do we know we've got the right number of screws?
Yes, I kept my screws separated for that very reason.
All right.
I don't have a special mat for those things, but again, my own personal style is I like to leave my screws laid out in a pattern upside down.
That's a good idea.
A pattern of how they came out.
I find just when I'm at home, I'm often just like working on the ground, just because it's a big open space that I can lay everything out.
Yep.
And so I'll do that same thing, and yet always there'll be at least one screw that somehow gets like under my leg or something, or like where did that go?
You've seen Serial Experiments Lane, have you, Paul?
Serial Experiments Lane.
Ooh, okay.
I don't know what that is.
That is a 90s anime about psychology, cybernetics, and computers, actually. But a girl who's a hikikomori who goes on the net. Yeah, girl goes on computer and solves big corporate mystery. Kind of like Ghost in the Shell, if it was just about people who were using PCs. Okay, that's that. I'm going to very quickly just power this up again with another Sega CD game, just to make sure that we've left it as we found it. Where are you? There you are, Desert Bus. On you go. Power. And second power. Now, if I recall, thankfully the mysterious voices in the room, the second official Sega power adapter belongs to Loading Ready Run, correct?
It's one of our spares.
Okay, good. So I will not send that back. But at least we'll know that's your issue, Michael. And press the start button. Yep, and Sega says yes at this point.
It's this thing where the sparkles stop while
Yeah.
it's loading that always gives a lot of anxiety when trying to load a game. You're like,
But you listen to it go, and then absolute entertainment.
yay!
Okay, good. We can shut you down. We have left you in a known good position. Please enjoy your backup Sega CD. All right, so I said I had a project for us to round off the evening with, and hopefully it won't take too long, but will take long enough. We're going to go back to the BC250 for a second here, because you'll note, if you were looking at it carefully, wait a second. I'm also not going to give you our bootleg copy of Smoke and Mirrors.
No. We need that.
Finding that is an exercise for the viewer, should they wish to. Wow, big pile of stuff I got to put back on Beej's desk. He's going to love that in the morning. Nope. Don't want to lose the Guilty Gear shape CD. For those curious, we also had JoJo's Bizarre Adventure available as backup if we needed it. But right, so we're back here at the BC250. I'm just going to unplug everything because we don't need it to be turned on right now. By the way, also fun tip for y'all out there. If you maintain a household with multiple different types of computers where you need to reinstall the OS, grab yourself a set of cheap USB keys and make one for each of the things you maintain, be it Mac OS, Windows 10, or your favorite version of Linux or BSD.
And just so you have those at the ready.
Exactly, should you need to do a boot or whatnot. Okay, so we're gonna have to take this boy apart a bit here, because what I'm going to do, you'll note that out at the front here, it's a big honkin' ATX connector plugged into a big honkin' ATX connector, which has 3 wires coming out of it. And what I would like to do is remove this portion and just have the 3 wires come up so that I can reprint this grill piece with the appropriate hole for the switch.
So yeah, that entire piece and all those wires is just for the power cable.
Exactly.
For the power button.
But now you're going to get to see a little bit of the interior of our friend here. It's we got to get the, what do we want to take out? I think we want to take the back. Yeah, we kind of got to take the back out, which means I should have brought my Allen keys. No matter, we have hex drivers here. The whole thing is held together with these hex-driven M2 screws. And hopefully this doesn't completely ruin it, because these were also self-tapping. Good enough.
Now, was this this 3D print, was this an existing setup for this particular device, or did you have to adapt something?
So yes and no. This is there are a number of people out there who have designed cases for the BC250. Some I like, some I don't. Some are better designed for certain types of fans. Some are designed for people who didn't peel their blades like I did. But this one I chose because it was A, one that I liked the aesthetics of, and B, would fit on my printer. And right, that was the story I was starting at the top of the show that I didn't quite finish. So the reason for this seam here is because when I was putting the printer back together after its motherboard exploded with a new motherboard of random, I entered data for the build area. Width and length, X and Y, perfectly fine, no problems there. Those I can measure and I can show you. But the Z I thought was going to be the same amount, 20 millimeters. And it turns out that I was incorrect, and that the maximum amount of space on the build plate in the Z axis, the up-down, was 175 millimeters. Now, this is 175 millimeters from here. I discovered my error this far into the print, and I was not going to waste 36 hours of print time and that much filament just to have to break it up and do it again. So I went into the software that converts 3D files into printable objects, resliced it at 175, made these new parts that could be printed later, this little extra tab, and then found out how many layers it was to that point. And I have it written down on my notebook at home. It is 847.
Did you count them?
No, thankfully, at least in Prusa Slicer, you can use a slider to go up and down your layers to see where they are.
Oh, I see.
But what it did mean is I had to be awake at 1:30 at night for when layer 147 started to immediately stop the print, because there is no way to do that programmatically at the moment. So once I did that, everything was fine. We printed off the top bits. We glued them on. Again, as I said, they're nearly invisible, close enough for my liking, and was able to do the other half of the case, knowing what my constraints were. And then it was okay. All right, so let's just pull that out there. That's our power supply. You may remember this from a previous episode.
Nice.
And let's
Very compact power
yeah.
supply.
Let's just disconnect the...
So the majority of the cables coming out of the power supply are not actually doing anything.
Yeah, this is this is what it would be your main motherboard connector if you were using a regular computer. This is in fact a straight up 400 watt power supply. Much like the gigantic ones you may know and love, but you can get them small and they still do exactly the same job. The only thing that's feeding power directly to the BC250 is the 6-pin or 6 to 8 12-volt rail, because that's all it takes.
I guess that's part of its sort of rack-mounted nature, is it's designed to be a low-power thing.
Exactly.
Wow, that's even with the graphics card and stuff. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and now that said, you can push these things harder than I have. Some people have actually built liquid cooling rigs and big air cooling rigs for them, and have pushed them up into the 4 gigahertz territory. Those people have also changed the way that power gets into the board because they're melting the. Yeah, FireWire is back, baby.
I feel like at a certain point you're spending. I mean, it's more academic at that point. Like you're spending a lot more effort on your cooling than the system actually like warrants.
People need hobbies, Paul. And some of these hobbies include designing and making the print files available, custom-made AMD tower cooling holders for this device that never was designed for. But all right, so what we need to do here is we're going to take these pins here, remove them, and then we're going to put them into this connector, hopefully removing all unnecessary plugs in it.
Right, so we're sort of going wide and then small again, whereas we don't need to do that.
But in order to do that, we either need a special Molex pin releaser, or what I'm led to believe will work, some staples.
I do love when you see like the way the cables are coming out of a Molex connector, and that seems to be like a fairly standard thing where it's like, okay, somewhere, somebody along the line, when they defined this standard, messed up. Like the cables should not be like all crossed over. Like somehow, when cables are just like going into the connector, they're always having to be like they don't line up properly. With the ones, and it's like there's somebody messed up here.
And then you see like certain pins have 2 wires going into them, and it's like, ooh, that's.
It's like this is the signs of a connector that is being used for way more than it was ever intended to be.
So there are 2 ways to do this. I can either find a schematic and figure it out, or I can do it the easy way and just use my continuity tester to find out which wire goes to which pin at the end.
Just poke it a bit.
Yep. I'm going to poke all of them just to make sure that there's no cross wiring, because that would make me angry. But it looks like that one just goes to the top left here. So what I'm led to believe I need to do is extract 2 staples. And bend them straight so that they make a big L shape. Okay, so there's one. Put it there. And there's the other. So we'll start by removing the ones from this thing. And the idea is that if you push it along the side, and then, this is one of those doubles.
I mean, my pet peeve with these kind of cables from modular power supplies, right? Because that's where is that they are they connect. Any version of these will connect to any other modular power supply, but they're all completely. Wow, that worked well.
That worked really well.
But they're all completely incompatible in terms of the pinouts.
Yes.
So every power supply manufacturer has a different pinout, despite the fact that the cables look identical and connect identically. So if you have to make sure that you have the cables that came with your power supply. If you use the cables that came with a different power supply, despite them looking identical, there's a good chance that you can burn out whatever thing that you're plugging it in.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now there should be, how best to do this? No, I can wire it up that way. Yes, we'll do it that way. All right, so we'll just disconnect this one temporarily. There's and do the same thing on this side. Oh boy. Can I do it from the back end? I think I have to do it from the back end. Can't do it from the front. Well, can I do it from the front end? I'll have to do it from the front end. Okay. And then that. Oh, this one might be even easier, actually, now that I think about it. So
The idea is you're using the staple just unhooks, or there's like a little sort of latch or something that's holding it in?
Yeah. Can we... Well, the super zoom's probably not going to be able to see it close enough. But there's two little wings on the side here.
Ah, I see. Yeah, yeah.
And... Oh, you know what? Oh, you know what? I might have goofed. Yeah, this is not going to work the way I want it to work, now that I think about it.
Uh-oh.
And here's why. We could splice, but I don't have any shrink tubing. But at least I can get the cables out that need to be done, and then we can work on that. Then we know where they go afterwards. The reason being, you'll note, gender. This is a receptacle, and these are the inserting sides. These are inserting on both sides.
Ah.
And so even if I am able to get the pin out of that side, it's still going to be the wrong type of pin to go into there. So yeah, we got to stop with that. However, what we can do is at least leave it half inserted, but we can at least find out what the other cables are. And then I think later on I can go ahead and splice the cables together with some proper shrink tubing. I don't think I need to worry too much about the heat in this respect, because this is only providing...
There's no actual power going to, like, it's just a short.
Yeah, I mean, there is some power going through, but it's not going to be large amperes of power. It's just enough to, it's just shorting the ground and the signal for power on in the ATX power supply. But at least we can find out what the other ones are that we need to connect. Glad to know that this staple system works, though. That's surprising. I was
yeah, that popped it out really easily.
I mean, in this day and age of order security defeating tool from Amazon for within 2 days delivery, it's still nice to know that you can sometimes don't have to order. All right, back at it again. in terms of connecting and continuity testing. So that first one was easy.
Whoop.
Okay. Second from the bottom there. So just go ahead and shove that in there.
Do you need to know which is which as well, or does it not actually matter when you're?
It probably actually doesn't matter too much, but what I'm doing is I'm just reinserting the pin back into the cable without tripping the clips.
Oh,
So
I see.
yeah, so that we can get ourselves set up for success, I guess is a good way of putting it. Okay, and you can definitely feel when you get it, though. But yeah, this is another double up cable. So. Whew. Now, the other thing that I need to mention about this, I'm going to take that out just for now, is that, it helps if you actually, go on the outside of the pin and not the inside. That first one was certainly surprising. Oh, no. You can feel it latch against itself. So what I don't want to do is break this connector, because that, the expense of a Molex plastic. They're actually harder to find too than you'd think. There we go. Got it. So I definitely don't want to break the bottom one, or the this one, because this one wants to get reused. But my thought was, honestly, that this top bit, I could absolutely just crush this and pull the pins out because it's no longer a necessary piece. But I got one more left. Let's find out which one it is, and let's extract that pin. The gentleness with which I am trying to keep these pins in the right place without re-engaging them. It'd also help if I jam that in there in such a way that I can get continuity. Okay, who are you? So, there are literally only 2 pins that are connected here.
Wait, the third one doesn't actually do anything?
The third one does something, but it is connected to the first pin.
Wait, what?
Yep, so, third pin down here. First pin we disconnected, continuity. Let's go back to first pin we disconnected.
So,
Wait, what? Oh, did I just get it? I got it backwards, that's all. Or did I? Nope, I didn't get it backwards. Or rather, I did get it backwards. I flipped this thing, this end,
I
at
see.
some
Okay.
point between.
Okay.
So yes, there is one more pin that needs to be removed, and that is going to be this one on the corner here. So let's use our skills that we've learned so far. That felt like that engaged quite nicely. Straighten that staple. Jam it down in there, kind of wiggle it around a bit, and remove the pin. That's way too easy. That is the cheapest tool I've ever made.
Hey, staples don't grow on trees, you know.
No, they've added. I hear they've got a whole store for them somewhere. Yeah. All right. Well, that concludes all that I had prepared for you today. But I think we had a good time, actually. We managed to confirm that the Sega CD is working. Enjoy your spare, Michael. Why did my watch unlock my laptop? I just closed it. We've managed to have a good look inside a Sega CD and talk about what kind of fun is in there. And we've now we've shown off the success that we had with a previous project on the BC250, and we've made good progress into getting it nice and cleaned up and buttoned up forever. So I'm really happy with today's progress. I hope you are too. And if you do, don't forget you can help us out by doing more of these things by you going to patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. It's super appreciated. All that you do here, either at patreon.com or at store.loadingreadyrun.com or twitch.tv/loadingreadyrun or youtube.com/loadingreadyrun. We appreciate all the methods that you make us able to do what we do here for you. And yeah, look forward to the next time I can sit down here at the bench and give you a tour over something I've never done before. But until then, thank you so much for watching. Ever forward, learning out of spite. Good night.